Hello and welcome. My name's Gareth and I'm the Schools and Colleges Liaison Manager at the university. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the important things your child needs to be considering between submitting their application and starting university. So very much their next steps. If you have any questions at the end, please pop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them for you. So your son or daughter has applied. What happens next? What do they need to be thinking about between now and the start of university? The things I'll be talking about are their offers, firm and insurance choices, student finance a little bit, additional financial help, accommodation, budgeting, and some top tips. So let's have a look at these in a little bit more detail. As regards offers, with their offers, get them to double check as they come in to make sure that they fully understand that what the conditions of the offer are. If they don't get them and don't understand them, get them to call or email the university in question for clarification. They should be conditional. Do they meet those conditions? A small minority may be unconditional, where they are accepted regardless of grades, as some universities still offer those. We at Lincoln make conditional offers. So will your son or daughter most likely meet the offer made? Circumstances do change. Once your child gets all their offers or decisions back from the universities they've applied to, they will be required by UCAS to choose a firm or insurance choice. This is assuming they've applied for 2 or more courses. If they've only applied for one and one only, it automatically becomes their firm choice. So firm is the university your child will go to if they meet the entry requirements on results day. Insurance is the backup, the one if on results day they don't meet those requirements for the firm choice, it would then automatically drop to their insurance. If the conditions are then met for the insurance, it becomes their firm choice on results day. Hope that makes sense. Ideally, get them to think about their insurance choice as well, as it's preferential for it to have a slightly lower entry requirement, simply because otherwise, if the insurance is the same requirement as the firm choice that they've chosen and it basically rejects them, the chances are that the insurance will reject as well, and your child is likely to be put into clearing. If they've applied for more than 2 courses, after choosing their firm and insurance choice, the rest are rejected by UCAS on the student's behalf. Students do need to check UCAS track on a regular basis. It's there that they will be informed of the date that they need to make their firm and insurance choices. Miss that date, and UCAS will reject them by default across all their offers. Please make your child aware to check track on a regular basis. If it does happen to them, it isn't the end of the world. Their firm and insurance choice will reinstate them, but it's very stressful for the student and therefore likely to make you stressful too, and it's also more work for the university. Student finance as well, if we're moving on to finance, is probably the second most important thing your child will need to do to go to university. As soon as the application cycle opens, get them to start applying. Their school or college will be notified that the cycle has started, or they can set up their own alert. They don't need to wait until their firm choice is decided either. Get them to start straight away. The loans are essentially 2 separate pots of money, but students apply for them both at the same time. You need to push them to apply as quickly as possible. The Student Finance England set a deadline, normally the end of May or early June. What they're saying is if students meet that deadline with all the information that Student Finance England needs, it guarantees to have their funding in place for when they start. Why do I keep pushing? Start as soon as the cycle opens? Because last year Student Finance England have told us that 50% of the students left it until after that deadline of May or early June before they actually started making their application. Some were still waiting for their money in November of 2020. So pot one is the tuition fee loan. This isn't means tested, so they get what they ask for, up to a maximum of £9,250, and it's paid directly to the institution by Student Finance England on their behalf. Equally, it doesn't just pay for someone to teach your child. It pays for the teaching facilities and all of the learning resources on campus that they have access to. Pot two is the maintenance loan, and this pays towards everything else. Rent, food, bills, social life, transport, for instance. This time it is means tested. So the amount a student gets is dependent on where they study, where they live while they're studying, and most important, the household income of the home they're currently living in. There is a guaranteed amount that everyone will get regardless of household income as well. So somebody is always going to get some in if they apply for a maintenance loan. And this time it is paid into their bank account, but it's paid in 3 equal instalments, and they can use that money as they see fit. Personally, I would always apply for the maximum amount of tuition fee loan. Why? Because of the way the loans are repaid. The amount your child repays is not based on the amount that they've borrowed, but on how much they're earning. As of the 6th of April this year coming, someone earning £30,000 a year will be paying back just £20.74 a month off their combined loans. It is that small. Also, they may have a bank account already, but I would advise your child looks for a student bank account, as they offer great overdraft facilities, better interest rates and incentives, freebies, and I've seen everything from tablets being given away to 5-year student rail cards, all sorts of different things. Regardless of whether they change to a student bank account or not, though, they will need an account in some form to apply for student finance. So look into additional help for your child financially. It can come from a range of sources, including Student Finance England, universities and other organisations. Student Finance England in particular have grants to help those with a disability, childcare needs, dependent adults and students who have an overseas placement as part of their course. More information on that can be found on the gov.uk student finance site. All universities will also support students through scholarships and bursaries, so check what's being offered. Here at the University of Lincoln, we have a large number of scholarships and bursaries, including 4 new Vice-Chancellor scholarships, each worth £5,000. These are to help cover living costs as students continue their education at degree level. So for budding scientist, 1 scholarship will be awarded to a new student on the university's BSc Honours in Computer Science, another to a new student studying either biology or zoology. To help facilitate access to higher education for mature students, 1 scholarship will be awarded to a student aged 21 or over studying either English or history, while the final award will go to a mature student joining either psychology or law. All the new scholarships have been supported through a donation by the University of Lincoln's Vice-Chancellor, Professor Mary Stewart, CBE. More details on our scholarships can be found on our website, lincoln.ac.uk. There's also, if you're looking to join a course that is NHS related, a £5,000 a year NHS bursary, and it's geared to those particularly nursing and midwifery, but allied health courses as well, including paramedics. Some students may also be eligible for more. If they are, this will be calculated through their main application for the £5,000. When looking, your child needs to check the application process for all of them. When and how do they apply? It will vary depending on what they're applying for. But the best bit about all these additional financial support that they're entitled to or they get is it's non-repayable. Whatever they get, they keep. Accommodation as well. If your child is looking to move away from home for their university education, then accommodation is something else that should be high on their and your priority list. Again, it needs doing sooner than later, as most universities allocate on a first come, first served basis. Get your child to start looking at options for all the institutions they've applied to, or if they're pretty sure of their firm and insurance choices, looking at those as a minimum. Application cycles for accommodation vary from university to university and can be quite competitive depending on the amount of accommodation the university has to offer. It can also be competitive depending on what your child wants too. Options around the UK include self-catered halls, like here at Lincoln, half-board, full-board, en-suite, or even shared housing. As I've said, here at Lincoln we offer self-catered student accommodation, with the vast majority being en-suite, and all within easy walking distance of the campus. Whether they can apply for accommodation also may be determined on the basis of them making that university their firm or insurance choice. It certainly is at Lincoln, where when they do make that choice, get your child to think about applying for accommodation at these universities straight away, or at least check when they can. Allocation of accommodation as well is not just straight away. Allocation is done by universities normally on results day. So it may take some time between your child applying and hearing from their chosen university about accommodation, other than confirmation that their application has been received. This is normal, so don't panic, and make sure they don't panic either, as universities cannot allocate until they know for sure that they are coming. All I've talked about so far is important, so they may benefit, and you for that matter, from making a to-do list or priority list of important things which can be crossed off as they're done. On to budgeting as well. The vast majority of students, when they attend university, will have a finite pot of money to live off. Before your child goes to university, it's worth spending time with them working out how much they will spend a week or month on rent, other bills, transport, food, and other of their social life, for instance. Getting them to think about budgeting. This is what the maintenance loan is there to help with specifically. If they and you are not sure what they're likely to get from the maintenance loan element, then they can get a rough estimate using a student finance calculator. The gov.uk, Student Finance England, and Martin Lewis student finance sites all have one. It will give an estimate, but it gets them to start thinking about the sort of money that they're likely to have and what they're going to need to do with it. Get them to do things like plan a food shop for you and just go out and do that food shop. It's all good experience of how things actually cost. Having done that budgeting dry run, if there's likely to be a shortfall between what they get and what they spend, how can they improve this to bring back the odds in their favour? For some, Bank of Mum or Dad is an option, but not for everybody. Part-time job is another option. And there are normally lots of opportunities for students moving into university to look for part-time jobs once they get here. Or if they've already got one and they can transfer, lots of big companies offer this option. That's another good way as well. Teaching is usually flexible enough to allow them to start to actually do a part-time job while they're here. Another way is to become part of the university's student ambassador scheme. They assist with open days, on-campus visits, mail shots, external events, and much more. It's paid in one form or another. Certainly here at Lincoln, it's paid in cash, and it's great for their CV and their independence and confidence building. The final one for them to consider is discounts. An NUS or recognised student card will get them discounts wherever they go, whether it be retail, cinema, restaurants and more. Not just here, but certainly when they come back home as well. It saves them a lot of money. Travelling by train a lot, if they have to travel by train a lot, then make sure they get a student rail card. It gives them 33% off fares. Just get them to check and remember those additional funding opportunities too that I've talked about already. Lots of ways in which they could get extra money. My top tips: planning the next steps, as we've looked at, is key for your child in the run-up to starting university and once they've applied. as there are so many deadlines that they need to hit, and there will be consequences to them if they don't. Applying for finance, that potential additional support, firm and insurance choices and accommodation are the ones they and you need to be aware of in particular. And I've said to-do lists are a great way of planning and reminding them and you of what needs to be done. Keeping a regular check on UCAS Track will tell them all that they need to know about the progress of their applications and what they need to do next. Budgeting is that essential skill they need to learn and learn quickly, so you can help and advise if you think they need it. If they have a part-time job, is there a possibility that they can transfer that? Fast food chains, large retail shops and supermarkets are normally quite happy for students that work locally to do this and transfer, but they need to approach them. They or you equally should never be afraid to ask a question, no matter how silly or trivial it might be. There's so many ways that you can ask or they can ask questions to a university. Here at Lincoln, they can ask through our social media accounts, live link-ups, emails, phone, through Unibuddy, so that they can actually talk to a student, and even post, good old-fashioned post. Whichever way, we'll endeavour to answer as quickly as possible. Talking of social media, why not join our parents' Facebook group and get your child to join their social media groups, such as Friends for Life. And finally, more than anything, your support, guidance and interest is essential to ensure that your child and you have a smooth transition into university life. Again, thank you for watching, and I hope you found this information helpful. We do have some questions, so I'll try and answer them. We have a question from Rosie Bowers. How and when do you apply for the NHS bursary? You will apply in the year leading up to your you starting university. So if you punch in NHS bursary into a search engine, it will come up and it will give you all the information you need, including the application forms. So it's well worth having a look at what you need to do. Equally, wherever you go, and the university that your child is attending will also give them information about the NHS bursary as well. Lisa Bubb has also said, what advice would you give to those coming from Guernsey and the Channel Islands? Obviously, financially, it's a little bit different, because I believe that the Channel Islands pay for students. What they can also do is through the Facebook sites, such as Friends for Life, they can get to know the people that they're actually going to meet and be friends with and sharing accommodation with before they actually get here, so that when they actually get to a university, and certainly here, they don't feel alone, isolated, because they've already come into contact with the people that they're going to be sharing their accommodation with and their course with, so they've an idea of what it's like. We would normally also recommend coming to an open day, and fingers crossed that between now and September of this year, we will have the ability to open the campus again so that people can come on an open day. So I would also recommend coming to get a feel of the place, because with the best will in the world, even though we put the information up and you can get a good look at the campus and its location to the city, it isn't the same as visiting. Beth Ewens, does psychology count as an allied science? Unfortunately not. In regard to the NHS, it is very, very strictly NHS related. So you're looking at areas such as radiography, in terms of as I've said, paramedics, nursing, midwifery. Medicine can tap into it later on in their university life as well. So the NHS bursary will list the full and comprehensive list of who is eligible to apply for it. Corinne Gillard, does the university have provisions for students with disabilities? Very much so. The campus has been built very much with disabilities in mind. So everywhere is flat access and or lifts with easy access for students in that respect. Disabled toilets and facilities are all over the place. And our accommodation, if you apply for accommodation and state that you have a disability and show what that disability is, we will endeavour as much as we can to get you in a disabled student room on campus or within our external providers as well. Anybody else got any other questions? If not, thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it and you've taken on board, and hope to see you in the future. Many thanks. Bye.